Slice with me, JP Hovey, and to my left, maybe to your right, Stephen Boughton with the Slice Tennis Podcast presented by Betway, the best betting partner, the best show sponsor we could ask for us. And we have another great show lined up for you guys this week. We're going to be hitting, of course, on the past results of what went down. Stephen was boots on the ground, like we said last week, and had a great time in Montreal. We'll get into that, get into all the Canadian tournaments. Then we're going to hit how tough it is for these players to change surfaces, going from the really going from Wimbledon, which is grass, to the Olympics, which is clay, and then to the hard courts for the U.S. swing. It's not easy for the boys. Second story, going to talk about the Cincinnati experience and the U.S. Open. There's been a lot of trash talk going on between fans and players. The U.S. can get a little rowdy when it comes to tennis tournaments because we don't know how to hold our liquor as well. Our drinking age is so much higher than a lot of these other countries. So people they act out. They're immature with
crazy.
it. And then lastly, shout out to a high schooler. He just won. I don't have his name written down, but let me pull that up real quick.
I know who it is. I don't know his name either, but I saw that 18-year-old.
It's ridiculous. He's a incoming Michigan State freshman, and he won Kalamazoo. So he gets a main draw into the U.S. Open, which is a guaranteed $100K this year, I believe. But because he's going to college, he cannot accept this money without losing his eligibility. So we will get into that because NIL is such a hot topic in America. And then, of course, we got our smash or pass. And guys, cut me some slack. If my brain's a little everywhere, I'm getting married in, 4 days. So right now in my room, I have absolutely nothing. I got to get rid of my bed tomorrow. Downstairs, I don't even have a chair to sit on. Tonight for dinner, I was eating standing up. So cut me some slack in the comments, please. Steven, how was your week?
This guy is crushing it, and so stoked for JP to be getting married, getting the ring on the finger this week. Commitment is huge. We're stoked. Proud of you, JP. Great work on that. While I update on my week, you can look up the winner of Kalamazoo. I was just looking at it and looking at his little face. I'm pretty sure his name is Jack, first name, right?
So Matthew Forbes.
Okay.
I just looked it up. Anyways, dope last name, by the way.
Forbes list. Let's go. Okay, we'll get into that. But my week, what was my week? I mean, last week at this time, I was in Montreal. Yeah, like you said, I love that term, boots on the ground. Having a good time in Montreal. So yeah, my week was great. For those of you who came and said hi in Montreal, that was awesome. Thanks for coming to say hi. There's a lot of you. It was kind of funny. The Slice is obviously it's for the people, it's by the people. And I've gotten recognized at other tournaments, sometimes one person or two people here and there. It's actually happened the whole time we've done it, but Montreal was but the most by far. And it would be I'd be talking to another journalist, and one of you guys would come up and say, "Hey man, what's up?" And we dap it up. People are like, "Wait, everyone's the Slice was kind of low man on the totem pole in Montreal as far as they're "Hey, we gave you an accreditation. You guys are lucky to have it." And then I was so it made me feel good. And that, reminded us that people watch our show, JP.
Yes. And so for those of you watching right now, subscribe. Hit the subscribe. We're trying to get to 20K. We're at 19.1 right now. Once we get to 20K, everything changes. I can't tell you what that means, but I promise it does.
That's right. No, I had a great time in Montreal. It was, I met Alex, I met Lance, Lawrence, legendary Twitter, YouTube commenter, Lucas. Shout out Lucas. That was one of the names I forgot last time. Alex Tennis, bunch of guys. That was sweet. Anyways, so Montreal was great. The French, they are a great. I found a new respect level for the French. People make fun of them sometimes for how snobby they are about their culture. I don't know if you've ever heard that, JP.
Oh yes, we've heard it. The U.S. and we learned about French. We learned about the French growing up in our U.S. history classes, and they don't have the greatest rep.
Yes, because for many reasons, and I share that for sure. I'm definitely not French, but I did. When I went there and I saw they actually have a culture to be stuck up about.
Let's go.
And that was what I realize from Western Canada, where I don't even know what our culture is, and like in lots of parts of America, same thing. It's just like our culture is America. It's like, what does that mean? It's like, the French actually have like, no, you know what, this is how we do food. It's amazing. This is how we do, art. They're stuck up about it, but I kind of respect it. You know what I mean? Anyways, I had a great time with the French, and some of the journalists out there on the East gave me a hard time. It was crazy, actually. There was some,
Really?
there was some spicy. A lot of them were great. The best ones that I met were these couple French guys and this Italian guy. Now I forget his name. He's like, I'm pretty sure Yannick Sinner just used his like translation in his latest Instagram post.
Nice.
But this guy was super nice. I can actually tell you his name right here. Giovanni Palazzo
God.
from
Oh, I love
Italy.
Giovanni.
Sick name, hey? So he was interviewing Kaboli right after he beat Felix Auger-Aliassime in the night match in Canada, like played huge, like literally in his
Forehand
villain
God.
era. Kaboli in his villain era, just this like cool Italian looking guy, sponsored by On with Roger Federer. I mean, I said it, superstar in the making. Hit one of the hardest forehands I've ever seen.
That thing was crazy.
That was crazy. I know you saw that. So, anyways, yeah, that was a great week in Montreal. Very busy, like 15-hour
Wait,
workday.
what is? Are we able to elaborate on being spicy with you or not really?
There's this one journalist essentially from from Canada, from Eastern Canada, and she is, I'm not going to say her name, people can figure it out probably. She's just very spicy on the internet, and me and her have gotten into it a lot, and
Love that.
it's always started by her. It'll be
Love
like
that.
whether I like spell something wrong, or I have like a slight error in like in some like stat I'm posting, or what she'll do is she'll tweet out about you but not tag you, and she'll say like, oh, these fake journalists, I'll be blah 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 blah. And so I know who she is, like she's very well known. And so
Right.
I go, we were interviewing Kei Nishikori together,
Shout
and
out
so now
Kay.
I'm doing what she does. I'm not saying her name, but I'm talking about her, and but a lot of people actually won't know who she is, to be fair, on the YouTube world, because not relevant. But I saw we had an interesting quote from Kei Nishikori, who's one of the legends of the game.
Love
She's in there.
Kay.
And I walk by her, and I'm trying to always be like, because to be fair, Ben Rothenberg and I, we used to have beef on Twitter a lot. Like we'd get into it, and we met in person, and like normal human beings, we were like, hey man, nice to meet you. And then we went out for
Right.
drinks. He sat beside me in the press conference. We had a great time. We're like good buddies now. We completely disagree politically and about everything else, but people forget that in 2024 you can still be like a normal human outside of Twitter.
Exactly.
Actually, Twitter actually like really doesn't matter that much. Like people forget that. But this person, I go up to her and say, hey, I was like, hey Stephanie. I was like, oh, I just dropped
Oh,
her name.
that's how.
Anyways, it's
Hey,
pretty obvious what I'm talking about.
we're always down to be friends with who, like you're just saying,
True.
we can have these differences. Stephanie, me and you, we've never met. I have no doubt that you and I would get along. We all have the same common goal. So really, there's no need for everybody to be tearing each other down or whatever, however it might come across.
Yeah, I don't even know if we have like she's kind of said explicitly that we don't have the same common goal. Like I've tried to like be like, hey buddy, hey, can you teach? I'm new to the industry. She's like, it's not about that. We're all kind of individual. We're all trying to get the quote first. Like she said something along the lines of that to me. Anyways, and then in person, I was like, that was cool what Kenny Shikori said. And she was like, yeah, okay. And kind of just like walked away essentially. We had a short little conversation, and I like tried to make a joke with her, and it came off wrong, and it was like just very awkward. But so I'm trying to break through that French ice of like they don't like newcomers. The no new friends is the motto, I think, in the old school journalism world.
Dang. Hey, but shout out Kay Nishikori. He got a little bit back to his winning ways.
Yes. So
And
yeah, we got lots to talk about with the results there. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
fun fact about Kei Nishikori,
Yeah.
when I was working at IMG, some of the first tennis gear I ever owned, because Kay, he came up through the IMG system. And every now and then
Right.
we'd get an email from the tennis department, and it would say, hey guys, insert whatever pro player you want to say here. For this one, it was Kei Nishikori. Kei Nishikori was just here on campus, and he's left a lot of his gear. It's first come, first served. Whoever wants it, y'all come buy the tennis thing. Your boy hopped over on the tram real quick, went over there, grabbed me a little headband, all Uniqlo stuff, some shorts, some of my favorite shorts I still have 5
That's
years
awesome.
later. And it was epic. I mean, I never got to talk to him, but he was always smiling, always taking photos with the kids. So to see Kay get a win at a Masters 1000 tournament was awesome. Kay,
Yeah.
thank you for the headband that you don't know that you gave me that I still have.
Sweet guy. He's like small too. He's like literally shorter than I was. Like and not thick, but he's a beast. Like he plays, and it was great to see. What did he make? Quarterfinals,
I
the
believe
Masters,
so.
and that's a huge win for him. So that puts him up. Like I looked it up, he was ranked like 500 something. So that puts him up like 200 or 300 spots in the rankings. Like it's crazy.
That's good.
So that was great for him. So, anyways, I had a great week. Busy week, but I'm glad to be home with my lady. My baby's due in like less than a month now. So things are getting real for us, JP. Like your wedding week this week. So how's your week been? Where are you at right now?
Week's been crazy. Of course, I did majority of my moving. Shout out to my future wife in 4 days sitting. She kept me level headed through it all. I was definitely a little bit of a Debbie Downer. I was getting bummed out very quickly.
I
But
cannot imagine. I cannot picture you getting bummed out, man. I just cannot. I don't know if any of the viewers can picture that. With always got that cheeky smile on. You're
I
getting bummed
know
out.
if there's one thing that can bum me out, it's packing, and I think a lot of people feel that.
Fair
But
enough.
she was awesome. She handled it great. She got my spirits back up. We knocked it out. I still have a few things to do before I fly back tomorrow, but I'm trying to think what else happened. Like I said earlier, my brain has just been mush because I've been handling some stuff for my other job.
Yeah.
Um, but it's been. Oh, that's what we had an amazing dinner last night. We went to this place, Bourbon in Nashville. It's on the top of a hotel, so you overlook the city. And
Dang. You
our
and your lady.
no me, so my work, the Bussin' with the Boys crew, Will and Taylor, they paid for our whole team to go out to eat, and it was like
Gotta
a
love it.
2K minimum on the dinner. So seafood towers all around, salads, steaks, all of my
Question
favorite foods.
question for you. What is seafood like in Tennessee?
Come on, man. You know how it
It's
is. It's GMO'd. No,
how
I'm
does
just
it
kidding.
get there?
So the nice places that get it like some of these places get it shipped daily from
Daily.
a lot. Like, so we had oysters last night. They're Gulf Coast oysters.
I
So
love oysters.
Gulf Coast is probably like 6 hour drive from us. Now where they get the oysters, probably a little bit further. Virginia has a lot of popular oysters. The nice
Okay.
places get them shipped
Daily.
in pretty frequently. The not so nice places, they don't ever tell you. So
They're on a need to know basis.
they're on a
There.
need to know basis. But the
I was
week
just
was
wondering.
good. I'm just I'm ready. I'm ready for Saturday to get here, man, or Friday to get here. Welcome party. We're having a pool party, biggest splash contest lined up. Maybe a best trick contest. We might get a relay going.
Dang.
I'm ready for the weekend.
That is a great attitude to have. I love that. You're doing a great thing, and you're a lucky man. I'm sure.
Yes, this
So
is
that's a
what
big week for you.
I did want to say this because the last 2 weeks have been hard, but they've been hard for a reason. Steven, how does a sword get made?
I don't know, JP. How does it get made?
It gets forged in a fire. You stick it in extreme temperatures that you shouldn't be able to handle, and then you beat on it
Yeah,
to make it hard, and then you sharpen it. And these last 2 weeks, that's all that's been. I've just been put in the fire. We're all weapons, right? And sometimes we get thrown in that iron, in that heat,
that's right.
and then I came out sharp. So hey, some other people that came out sharp, give us a rundown of the winners of this past week.
Preach it, brother. Yeah, winners of the last week. I mean, off the top, there's really only two true tournaments that happened. The National Bank Open, Canada happened. Some people call it Canada, the Canadian Open. In Montreal, on the men's side, we had Alexei Poprin win. Comes out of nowhere to win his first Masters 1000 title. Now, Alexei Poprin's he's a big talent. He's been there for a while, but he's 25. So over the last kind of few years, coming out of his young 20s, he kind of has never got to that top level that other players have, or maybe people thought he would. But winning a Masters 1000 is like no joke at all. He was ranked 62 in the world at the beginning of the week, and now he's 23 in the world. So the higher you get, the harder it is to move up. So that's crazy. So that literally makes him a seeded player at the US Open.
Nuts.
So, and he makes that cool $1,049,460 for winning that tournament.
What pushed him forward in the semis? I heard there's a little rumor that you get a little special treatment from Montreal to Cincy.
It's true. So because the tournaments are so close together, Tennis Canada actually pays for a private jet for whoever makes the final of the tournament in Canada to go from Canada to Cincinnati. So Poprin said in his press conference at the end, he said, since we learned about this in the semis, we said, let's go get that private jet. Me and my coach won the semis, made the final, so had it secured, and then just went out there and beat Rublev, won the entire tournament. And he said he'd never been on a private jet before, and he's really scared of flying, actually. So he's going to see how this goes. But I think that's a nice cherry on top there by the Canadians for their players who do really well in that tournament. Get them to Cincinnati quick.
That is awesome. You ever been on a private jet?
No. You?
One time last year when we flew to Nebraska.
Don't tell me that, brother.
And we might have another op coming in 3-ish weeks, and it might be for football fans of the world. This could be considered one of like the most dream days ever. I can't share too much about it now, but we might have another opportunity to get on a PJ. I'll tell you guys this: I've never taken more photos than I did the day we got to go on the PJ. I was borrowing my friend's suitcases, the nicer bags, getting on and off the plane a crazy amount of times just to get the flicks, because you never know when that opportunity might never happen again.
That's true. Podcasting, people didn't know it was big business. They didn't know that you roll like that.
Yeah, it is big business.
That's crazy. So yeah, Alexei Poprin wins in Montreal. Absolutely crazy. Just crazy scenes. You love to see it for a guy who's worked hard like he has. And his route to the final, I'll just quickly go over it, was pretty crazy. He beat number 40 Machak in the first round, number 14 Ben Shelton, number 10 Grigor Dimitrov. This is world ranking, by the way. Number 7 Hubie Hurkacz, number 15 Sebastian Korda, who had just won the week before, and then number 8 Rublev, who had beaten Sinner on the way there in the final. So crazy
time. Week. I see he also saved 3 match points versus Dimitrov.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's go, man.
That's true. And that's crazy. So that's the men. So the women, we had Jessica Pegula defeats Amanda Anisimova, all-American matchup in Canada, to win the ladies' title, defending her title from last year. JP, is she the most consistent American at the moment?
Has to be the most consistent American at the moment. And I would like to shout out Amanda, because obviously I believe it was maybe 3 years ago, her dad passed around the Australian Open, and kind of ever since then, she struggled a little bit. And I saw this, she posted it because they used a funny photo of her like hitting this, and it had these 3 little achievements for her. And this was her 4th career final, her first since January 2022 in Melbourne. She's back in the top 50 for the first time since May 2023. And for the first time in her career, she had 4 top 20 wins in one event. So she had a lot of promise when she was coming up. They were like, this is going to be the next Sharapova type. She had injuries. She had the loss of her father. So we love to see Amanda back doing well. And also shout out Jessica. We love Jessica. We spoke about her on a few episodes back, how she gets this unwarranted criticism because her family's successful, and they try to discount her hard work, and to see her lift that trophy up is nice.
Yeah, you love to see it. Those are both great stories, and super, super cool to see.
New segment alert.
Whoa.
Because we're talking about a lot of money. And I want to show you our best bets of the day segment presented by Betway. Our tennis players in Canada are making some money. Hopefully we have a little bit of a wager that could make you some money, but play responsibly. So the best place to place this bet is Betway. Now you got to be 19 and up to play, and it's in collaboration with iGaming Ontario. Steven, we were looking at the Cincy draw before we hopped on the podcast and something caught your eye. What did you see?
Well, yeah. So I saw Sinner is playing. He's the number one player in the world, and he's got pressure on himself for that. He just made a big post on his Instagram after losing in Montreal. He was flexing out his hip there. He lost to Rublev, and he said a bunch of stuff about, he needs to get to his best level for the US Open. To me, it sounds like he's overthinking it, not going to lie, and, posting about it on Instagram. So he's playing Alex Mickelson tomorrow. And Betway has Alex Mickelson at plus 600 now. And that's an alert because right before turning this on, he was at plus 700. So I think they're realizing that those odds are pretty high. So that might be worth throwing a couple shekels on responsibly, because Mickelson has a lot of power. He's a gamer. He likes to fight. And Sinner is kind of maybe a little out of sorts right now with his tonsillitis he's had. The pressure being world number one, and Cincinnati can be a pretty rowdy place, as we'll talk about later. So that could be a potential value bet. Please pay responsibly.
Let's go. Hey, that was the best bet of the day presented by Betway. Let us know if you win. Comment if you placed a bet, and let us know if you win. I'd rather reach out to us on the YouTube comments, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you do. However you consume this content. Now, let's get into the main story. The surface changed because at the tournament you attended in Montreal, tons of the people that played in the Olympics, they seem to be getting knocked out pretty early on. Yeah. How break it down for us?
Yeah. So, I mean, when I was in Montreal, like I was asking all the players about the conditions, and the big story was coming from Wimbledon on grass, obviously, to the Olympics, which was at Roland Garros on clay, to the American hardcourt swing, which you didn't have to do. A lot of players didn't play the Olympics, but I noticed, and everyone else did too, the ones who did play the Olympics kind of got destroyed in the first early rounds in Montreal, which is when obviously was the first event on hardcourt.
Quick turnaround too.
Quick turnaround. It was like the next week. Like, for example, Felix played in the semifinals of the Olympics, and then the bronze medal match. I believe the bronze medal match was Saturday, and then he was playing his first match in Montreal on Wednesday night. And he had a couple practices, but that's a big travel day from Paris. So there's just not much time. And he lost to Kaboli, who's a great player. But the tweet I had out there is many of the top players who played the Olympics lost early in Montreal, including Felix Auger-Aliassime, Tommy Paul, Tsitsipas, Medvedev, Fritz, Draper. Essentially most of the best players at the Montreal tournament lost early. And then a lot of guys who didn't play went and played Washington. They got that warm up on the surface. So, I think if you're not that into it, it's hard to see how much these guys read into the balls. But Tommy Paul, what did he say to me? He said this: it's very tough. He said, quote, "It's very, very tough to switch." And this is after his first round win in Montreal, because he won one round and then lost the next. He said, "It's very, very tough to switch from French Open conditions to here. And these balls are like little rubber rockets. They are very hard to control, especially coming from slow clay. So it's tough to say. I felt very comfortable, but I knew at the same time he was struggling." He's talking about Luciano Darderi, who he played in the Olympics and then in Montreal. He was struggling with the same thing. He came from the same conditions. We played literally in Paris last week. But, Tommy Paul, not a guy of a lot of words, but he had specific things to say about the balls, which are different this year than other years, and the conditions in Montreal. So had me thinking, JP, like, what other sports are that dependent on the conditions? Like the major ones in America, I don't think are.
Yeah, they're really not. I think so in the NFL, I guess the closest you could get to it if you wanted to play the weather game of like the Bills are one of the few. Now it's like more and more of these teams are getting domes. The Bills are one of the few teams that play outdoors and winter football, December football, which is where a lot of these teams make their push to the playoffs. That's like the grittiest football. And when Buffalo gets a home game, they get that advantage where if you're playing inside the dome, it's kind of obviously you got your fans with you. But other than that, I would say Not so much. This could kind of go into like, these guys don't want to do the surface change because it could lead to injuries. Some
Mhm.
of the NFL teams play on turf, some play on real grass. Turf, you're way more likely to get hurt on. Real grass, you don't. Messi in his contract with the MLS was like, I don't play on any turf.
Yeah.
Blows my mind that NFL teams wouldn't just make the investment to get all grass because
Blows my
like
mind. That is crazy town. Like biggest league in the world, most money. These teams are crazy and they can't. It's like, what are we doing? That's crazy.
right.
You guys must know all about that. Like it's statistically proven more players get injured on turf, but they continue to have it.
Yeah, all the non-contact injuries that happen in American football compared to like soccer in Europe, you barely ever hear of star players going down with a torn ACL. And they're like cutting just as much as a lot of these NFL dudes.
Yeah.
But I guess like as far as the balls go, it never has really made sense to me. I know different sponsors have different tournaments. So like Dunlop has the Australian Open, but Wilson will have US Open.
Yeah.
Um, it sucks that there's all these inconsistencies with the ball. I think it seems like it should be pretty plug and play, but I wonder if it would be because I know Medvedev, he was saying he loved it in
Yeah.
Montreal. Like
And then
golf
lost first round.
and golf people, yeah, golf people play with all different kinds of balls, I guess. So
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah. It's
there's
one of
any
those things like it's a, there's the whole backstory of like conditions used to be so fast back in the days, like in the 70s, 80s, 90s, that there was almost no rallies in men's tennis. So
right,
they slowed down the courts and the technology for strings and rackets got way better. So players could just control the balls a lot better. But the balls have also slowed down. And specifically in the last like 2 years, like Medvedev talked about it, he said he hasn't seen balls that were this light and this fast for like 3 years on tour. So he loved it because he doesn't he considers himself a guy that doesn't play with a ton of power, which is kind of insane
right.
if you think about it. But these balls give him a ton of power without having to swing super hard. Um, but yeah, there've been a lot of issues around the balls and people getting elbow issues or elbow and wrist soreness.
Right.
And then you had Dominic Thiem's wrist blow up 2 years ago. He's never literally has
End
to
his
retire
career.
from it. Yeah, it's crazy. So and there's, so I think the manufacturers are getting told to like make the balls lighter potentially now, but because each year to year the balls change too. So like the Wilson US Open balls last year were different than they are now. And the
Yeah.
manufacturers also, the pros play with balls I've heard that you don't buy in the store. So you can't really go buy these batches are specially made for the tournaments. So anyways,
It's
it's
funny
just it was just
because when they are practicing, like at IMG, whenever I would be out there with whoever, certain times, I guess it was because of the shipment or like you're saying, it's these special balls. The players would legit be given like 2 or 3 cans of this
yeah.
new ball. That's like, all right, you can practice with these, but once you're kind of out of them, you're out of them. You got to go
Yeah.
back to our normal ones, which is, it seems so nuts to me that that would even be even be a thing. I don't know why it wouldn't be like the NFL or the NBA where it's the same ball, or even if like growing up, there's all different brands of basketball, but they all pretty much are the same. There's a few that suck out there, but
Yeah.
it seems like and I wonder if the players are in on the process at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much consultation there is. I just know that there's a lot of complaining about it when they get too heavy, right? Because like I think people like to, or the main thing that I think they complain about is the inconsistency. Like they
Right.
don't want to have to go light ball, light ball, like because it's just it's hard to control the light balls like in Montreal, and then it's hard to play with the heavy balls because it just hurts your arm, where it like literally breaks you down. Because you think
Yeah.
just all day long these guys practice and just hitting. Their entire life is just hitting. So, and their bodies, it is crazy to see these athletes. Like their bodies are their toolkit. So they think about their bodies in like a totally different way than we do, right? Like we're like,
Oh yeah.
man, it'd be nice, like JP said, it'd be nice to have that six pack. And with
God
that six
dang,
pack,
man. Y'all go
I
check
know
out
you
my
didn't
Twitter,
get it.
man. Honeymoon on Sunday. I had to let the people know that the 6-pack is not happening by Sunday. And it wasn't lack of effort, it was lack of start time. I started way too late in the game. I don't even I hate getting into it because I get so upset with myself of like, bro,
So you're saying
discipline
you
equals
set yourself
freedom. And apparently you
Yeah.
hate freedom, JP, even though you live in the US, because if you had any sort of discipline, you'd be having the greatest week of your life next week. But instead, maybe I'm have a shirt on in the pool. Who knows?
Like, get away from me sitting. You're like, I don't deserve this.
She calling me
So,
right
like, you're
now.
saying you set yourself up for failure with your timeline for preparing for this with your six pack.
For sure. And I set myself up for failure. At the end of the day, I'm the one that has to look myself in the mirror. I'm the only one that can control the outcome, and I let myself down. But the objective stays the same. I'm not going to give up now just because it's not happening on Sunday.
That's the athlete mentality, and that's how these players think of themselves. Their body is it's all, the work they put in is the benefit they get out, and that's how they think about it. So very, very pro athlete, mentality of you, JP. Respect.
Yeah, we need to get because we always get one graphic a year from SportsCenter, ESPN that says LeBron James spends he spends $1 million on his body. This
Yeah.
year in the offseason, it was Derrick Henry spends $400K on his body in the offseason. I'd love to see how much the tennis players are spending on their bodies, and I wonder if their recovery if they're doing like the same sort of treatments.
Yeah.
We'll have to
Yeah, it would
ask.
be interesting to see. I would think they're spending a lot less, like especially a lot of these guys. But the fitness they put in there is pretty crazy. And it would be cool to get like a breakdown of it.
Yeah.
Yep. In that cost, it's unlike the team sports, these players are paying for their physio or their strength and conditioning coach to travel with them. So they're paying
Right.
hotels, salary, all that. So that's
Hey.
a big outlay of cash there for the bod. But yeah, I
And
thought that was just interesting. Changing the conditions, it's a huge thing for tennis, and we're right in the thick of that right now.
in a few weeks, we'll have one of the more ripped players on tour on the podcast, Michael Moe.
Whoa.
He is. You ever seen the guy with his shirt off? That man. I should have contacted him if I was trying to get my six pack dialed in.
Yeah,
But
you should have been paying for his course. I don't know if you just saw your guy Michael Moe was on Tennis Channel and potentially caused an earthquake with his rippedness.
man, that's what muscle will do. Muscle moves, and they shook that studio, and everybody on TV handled the earthquake pretty well. I saw one of the girls on SportsCenter was getting a lot of love for how she handled it. Kind of went viral of it. I was a little bit like, yeah, everybody was going viral for how they handled the earthquake, and I'm like, okay, like let's not act like the building was falling down. We just had a little shake going on.
They're like the people behind the camera, like in their ear, they're like, "Don't move, don't get out of the chair at
Yeah.
all." They're like, "You handled it like a pro." They're like, I wasn't allowed to crawl under my desk. I wanted to."
Yeah, geez. Did y'all have like tornado drills growing up?
No, in Canada, where I'm from, it's just like where I'm from, it's forest fire. So like, there's a chance like
Mm.
this forest fire could rip through and just burn everything down. But no, so in the States where you're from, is that like tornado watch?
Yeah, like we would do tornado drills even in South Carolina. Like there was never a tornado while I was growing up, but we would always do it. And you just like go in the hallway and put a book over your head. And there's always photos on Twitter that's like, man, I miss these days. And it just goes to the drill because you get out of class for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, no, for sure. You guys probably did fire drills and stuff too, right?
Oh yeah. Fire drill during a test is a top 5 moment of childhood.
Oh, for sure. You're like, oh, like, because I don't even know if I think the teachers know it's happening that day or maybe during what class, but they don't know the moment. So they're maybe like, you're like in this test and then it rings and you like look at the teacher like, oh, we are good. We're out of here. I'm not writing anything more. I'm going to talk with my friend outside.
I know. Hey, were you did you cheat at all?
I think I probably tried a little bit. I'm not going to say I was perfect. What about
I
you?
tell you, I definitely did.
Wow. How
I mean,
so?
it's a perfect example. If you're at the fire drill, there's no way. We all have like that, especially we have that one smart friend in our friend
Yeah.
group. And by the grace of God, he's in class with you and you get that
Yeah.
fire drill. That's who you're standing next to. And you're like, bro, because they have great memory too. So you're hung up on a few questions. You're like, dude, number 4. Was
Yeah.
it A or was it B? And they're like, dude, those are 2 completely different answers. It was actually C. I'm like, oh, bet. Hey, appreciate you.
Yeah,
So
that's funny. Wow. Well, I don't know what level of tennis condition talk we're into right now, talking about fire drills and you know, and tornado watch, but where they have tornadoes, JP,
hey,
they
yeah,
have tornadoes in the
Cincinnati,
Midwest, potentially
Cincinnati,
in
bro,
Cincinnati. We're in
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. What's going on in Cincinnati this week?
A lot is going on in Cincinnati. Gambling, if you're on Betway, you should be on Betway. If you're not on Betway, you should be on Betway. But it seems to be today during Jordan Thompson's match, there was some fans heckling him. And it was these two young dudes that honestly they fit the mold. They looked like they were probably douchebags. And they were sitting front row on this court. And it seemed like after every single play, every single point, sorry, this guy had something to say to Thompson. And Thompson, like he's doing his best. He
He's
was also
fiery.
he started dealing with a lower back injury, so I'm sure that's like he's already on edge. And then he says something to the fan, maybe minimally, and then obviously ask the umpire. The fans around them are getting upset. Like, hey, these guys, they probably need to be removed. The chair umpire went over there 3 times to talk to the fan and never kicked him out. And then ultimately,
The chair umpire.
yeah, whatever whatever bet this guy had, he lost because he got up and walked away and like all of the fans started cheering.
What a dork. That's an example of not betting responsibly. So any of you who play like that or act like that, we don't want you anywhere around the show
Nope.
or using Betway.
We don't need that.
You gotta play responsibly, but that's Clown Town. But it is funny. Yeah, that's like poetic justice to see that guy.
Poetic
Not even
justice.
crazy that he didn't get kicked out. Like if you're heckling a player, like I mean, there's a little bit like depends like if you're like, hey buddy, like the guy hits in the net, you're like, nice shot, Chapo, and he like spazzes at you. I don't think you should get kicked out for that.
Right.
But it's usually not that. Like if players get
Yeah.
upset, it's usually something more like you told them where to shove it and they told you where to shove it back. And then the player's getting defaulted and all his points and money taken away. And you're like,
right. This guy's unraveling. Like, you're losing me money. Like, step it up. What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Like, keeps bringing up his bet. And it's like, dude, I hate to break it to you, but Jordan Thompson does not care about your bet.
yeah.
And crazy, the chair umpire didn't throw him out because another thing we were talking about that just happened probably an hour ago was Taylor Fritz and Nakashima in their match.
Yeah.
And you might be able to break it down more than me, but like the ball was called out. They played on like 6 more shots and then the chair umpire stops it. And it's like, hey, we're going to replay it.
And he's like,
yeah,
so
go
you
ahead.
see the ball's like, it looks deep from the TV, but Fritz knows it's out and it looks like the umpire knows it's out. But now there's electric line calling. So no one's calling the lines essentially other than like a computer. And sometimes computers go on sleep mode or whatever happened there. But they're like, the umpire's like, clearly he knew it was out or something was wrong because he stopped the play. You can literally hear him call, hey, Hawkeye, what's going on here? And then they show that the ball was out. But I guess, according to the rules that he knew, he's like, we have to replay the point because of a technical error. And Fritz is like, you just showed that it was out. Like a ball, literally, like my opponent hit a ball out. You just acknowledged that, but now we're replaying the point. And he's like, yeah, that's just the way it is, like, or something. And then the umpire, what was the craziest part, JP? He goes, yeah, well, you should have stopped the play.
Yeah, you shouldn't have hit it or whatever. It's like, well, oh, my bad. I didn't realize that I'm supposed to also be the line judge. I'm supposed to take care of the fans, make sure they're acting all right, and do my job.
Well, think about the logic there. The Hawkeye, after the ump stopped the ball or stopped the rally, the Hawkeye people showed him that it was out, and then he still was only able to replay the point. So if Taylor had stopped the point and shown him with Hawkeye that it was out, they still would have made him replay the point probably based on that logic.
And I just don't know how it seems like in the last 3 weeks that the chair umpires have just really been dropping the ball. And I know a lot of these guys are trying their best. Guys and girls are trying their best. But in a situation like this has to be the worst. This has to be the worst one they've seen all year.
Well, yeah, it's just maybe with the new Hawkeye line calling, they just don't have rules for this. So that guy just panicked and like made it up as he went on the spot. He's
Yeah.
like, "We're replaying the point. Sorry, Taylor." And then like, because I think if you went to his opponent, you'd be like, "Hey, opponent, you can see here that ball was out, so we're gonna give him the point. Are you cool with that?" And the opponent, most guys would be like, "Yeah, that's fair," or I don't know. So it's just that's a new territory. Now they're gonna have to make another amendment in the rules about that. They're like, if the electronic line calling fails and isn't called out, then this happens. And I don't think it should just be a replay the point when there was like a ball that's like, a good 6, 7, 8 inches out. That's
Right.
crazy.
And all the players were chiming in. Medvedev comments, Mickelson comments, Dennis tweets. He's like, if they would have made me replay the point and then just threw in an emoji like I can't do this anymore. Like you just
What did he
feel it.
say? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
He's like, wait, Dennis is like, wait, is there an opportunity for me to be fined here? Hold my beer.
I know. I need to try to pull up his tweet.
He says, if you would have stopped the point, and then he goes, I can't anymore. Like he's saying like what the umpire said was so ridiculous. He's like, Chapo lets it fly, man. I love it. I was in the press with him in Montreal as we talked about. He says he speaks his mind.
He speaks his mind. I did notice at the end of his presser, they asked him about somebody that retired. And that was a nice, juicy line. And I could not stand behind him more for how he responded to that.
I was there. I was literally there. And every single question was asked about his default in Washington. And then one of the local journalists said, hey, Louis Borfiga, who's the ex-president of Tennis Canada, is getting honored at a ceremony tomorrow night. Can you talk about what he means to Tennis Canada or what he meant to your career? I guess the guy just didn't know that Dennis had essentially no collaboration with Tennis Canada growing up. And I think he actually had, it sounded from that response. I don't actually know anything, but it sounded like he didn't enjoy that precedent probably. And he had some beef. So he just goes, yeah, I'm not the guy to ask about that question. He had nothing to do with me. Like,
God, I love it.
So cold. Anyways, that was, that's that. And that's funny that Dennis is chiming in.
They're all chiming in, but I do wonder, like, what is
he also chimed in? Sorry to cut you off. He also chimed in about Thompson versus Humbert. So Shapovalov, he's out there. He's got a vendetta right now against the umpires, and I think it's probably because his fine probably isn't getting overturned.
But dude, also like finally some players taken to Twitter to show a little bit of personality, use their platform as a voice, because he's not the only player that feels like this, and it'll probably start to make other guys feel more confident to go out there, share their opinion, kind of be themselves more, and then they might be able to kind of change some things that they're upset with. So hopefully that does work out, because if it was just one-off situations and not everybody was complaining about it, then it might be like, maybe check yourself, but it's snowballing now. And if you're the ATP, it's such a good look to even just say, like, put out something. We've talked to this umpire. This is unacceptable. Yada, yada, yada. I never see any
what
of
happened. That. Yeah. This is what happened. This was a mistake. I think everyone universally appreciates people who go, yeah, I made a mistake. And then we all forgive, usually. Because everyone makes mistakes, obviously. But
right.
It's one of those things. And, I think, it's part of I think it's just part of that. I don't really feel too bad for the umpires, because they have the power to stop anything they want. If umpires are getting abused by players, as we know, you can just kick them out.
Right.
But their job has got to be exact. And when unfortunately you can't undo things that have happened as far as calls in a match like that. So you're just gonna get roasted. That's just part of the job, I think.
Gonna get roasted. You can't be messing with people's money. And speaking of messing with people's money, freaking NCAA college athletics, our boy Forbes, he's from Raleigh, North Carolina. Shout out to Carolinas. And he is an incoming freshman at Michigan State next year. As like we said at the top of the show, he won Kalamazoo, main draw into the US Open here in a couple weeks. Every kid's dream. This kid grew up American, wants to play the US Open, got to be at the tournament he wants to show out at, has a generational run. Now he gets his opportunity to play, and $100K
Yeah.
for winning this tournament, and he can't accept it because the NCAA would strip him of his eligibility. You can't go play college tennis if you accept this money. But it was never a good argument. And it's definitely not a good argument now because these college kids can make NIL money, name, image, and likeness, for those who don't know. Up until
Yeah.
2 years ago, college athletes could not make money off of their jerseys, off of anything, exactly what NIL stands for. They couldn't make money off of their name, image, or likeness. Now they can. And so the fact that in a world where you got NCAA quarterbacks making over $1 million, if you want a good quarterback in the portal, you have to pay this 18-year-old $1 million to get him to come to your school. So that quarterback can make $1 million, but this kid who actually earned his
Yeah.
100K, and it's, as we've seen, I mean, how hard is it to make the main draw? Naomi Osaka she lost qualifiers of Cincinnati, and she's one
Yeah.
of the best players in the world. It's that hard, and now he doesn't get his 100K because of a dumb NCAA rule.
So I guess he could theoretically just go pro right now, take that money, and just start his pro career with 100K in the bank.
Right, but what would you do if you're him?
I'm pretty ambitious.
So you take the money.
Well, I'm like, yeah. I mean, like it hurt. Yeah, like I don't know. I don't like when people take money from you. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna go lose first round in the U.S. Open, take $0, actually take negative money because you're gonna, NCAA. They're not paying your way there, are they?
Right, yeah, no.
They're not paying for your coach. So you're gonna come back negative money, and they'll be like, "Hey, we're giving you free school." And if you're a guy who just won Kalamazoo, Matthew Forbes, he doesn't really have an ATP ranking. That's the other issue. So it doesn't
He's
look like
ranked
he's
like in the thousands.
1800. So that essentially means he hasn't really been playing any
Right.
pro tournaments. So I guess he's not going to do that. He'll probably just go to college. But you just got to think, he's like, I just got skunked out of 100K. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, I think the only way I don't know how it works when you're allowed to say, okay, actually I'm not going to go to college, because what if you are him and you keep this generational run going and you do make it to quarterfinals or something crazy? I think then you got to take the money.
Yeah, and I wonder what the legal, like, I guess it's the summer, right? So you can do whatever you want. It's not, you're not going
Right.
to college until the fall. So yeah, I think it's like you got a decision to make if you win first round. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's so
I think,
unfortunate too, because I mean, tennis players, they're never showing up on the top NIL earners list in college. So it's like this kid
right.
is going to go to Michigan State and maybe he's going to do a deal with like the local Subway and get,
Yeah.
$100 a month. So it just sucks because the sport is so expensive. Say he does want to go pro, you have to have so much money just to even try to go pro.
Yeah, and it's I mean, and if I think if you don't feel like if he didn't feel like he's ready, then I think staying in college, it just makes sense in general. I was talking to a pro Canadian player, Liam Draxel, who's ranked around 250 in the world now. He played college at Kentucky for a bunch of years. He was he was a national champion, I believe, with them.
SEC, baby.
SEC. He was super fired up, great kid. And he's talked about how great he thought the college experience is. Like he comes out of college, he's like 22 right now, which is like you're a baby.
Right.
And so 22 to 18, huge difference in, if you're Carlos Alcaraz, yeah, don't go to college. Like if
Right.
you're a freak,
Imagine
freak show,
Alcaraz in college.
bro, don't even. He was killing everyone on the ATP tour at 18. He was
That
giving Djokovic nightmares at 18. Like that's crazy. So if you're Carlos
dude.
Alcaraz, don't go to college. But if you're not, and you're not, then coming out, even play 2 years of college, find your form. Our guy Gabe Diallo up in Canada here, he played a couple years and he started winning challengers, and he's like, and he was beating Ben Shelton in challengers, and he's like,
Right.
yeah, I'm out
Ben
of here.
Shelton's another dude. Played a couple years college.
That's right. Anyway, so yeah, that's a good discussion about college, but that is a great result for that kid. Kalamazoo goes to the US Open, man. The big lights at the US Open. That's gonna be crazy for him. Like
Yeah.
I was at, have you been to the US Open, JP?
I went last year for the first time ever. Shout out my guy Clark Cummings and his dad, Daryl, his late dad, unfortunately. Daryl, actually, he is the one that created UTR.
No way.
Yeah.
Dang.
So he was up there. He was one of the most like friendly, personable people that you would ever come across, and he was able to scrap a ticket for me. So I went with Clark. We saw John Isner's last match. It was
Okay, cool.
yeah, US Open was awesome. I've only been to 3 tournaments: Cincinnati, Miami, and US Open.
American stalwarts. Those are
Yes.
great tournaments.
Indian Wells is
Cincinnati,
next for me.
yeah, Indian Wells. Well, let's see if they give us a press credential. If they don't, boycott Indian Wells. I'm boycott. I'm not going there until I get a press credential.
Now,
Okay.
hey, they will, because I gotta shout out my guys from Barstool that were there at Cincy this week.
Yes.
Marty
What happened there? Tell me about that. That is so cool.
So Marty Mush, he is a personality at Barstool. He's mainly like sort of in the basketball, baseball, football. He's like a gambling personality. Overall, awesome dude. He comes down to Nashville every now and then. He's always showing love to all the boys. And so he does this thing, like, I don't know if it's called Marty versus the World or just like Marty verse. And he's
Yeah.
doing a thing where he's going to compete against all different professional athletes. So he came to Nashville. I work for a couple ex NFL players. So he got coached up by one of our podcast hosts, and then he tried to guard NFL tight ends on routes. So then for tennis, his whole thing was he is trying to return the serves of pro tennis players. So today he was with Alcaraz. I believe
Do you know what happened?
I do know what happened, but I can't share because I don't want to spoil it for my guy.
Fair enough.
But he had Alcaraz, Medvedev. Dude, he had a freaking roster of just awesome
Man.
names.
Barstool gets that access, bro. That's crazy.
And this is their first time. So also shout out Hubs. He does a lot of the blog stuff at Barstool. He's a big tennis guy. He keeps up with it all. And Liam Blutman. Blutman is also a tennis guy. Blutman and Hubs are like the only 2 people at Barstool that are into tennis. And I know Liam's been trying to get people on board a little bit. Obviously I have. So to see Marty do it was cool. And hopefully it will start paving the way for people like us, where Cincinnati clearly have an understanding of the importance of this type of media.
Yeah.
And even Marty was like, dude, like majority of the people were there were like from newspapers, which is crazy.
Oh yeah. That's what it is. And I think we were talking about this in Montreal, like that was one of the ideas I would love to do. I think we were talking about that literally on the last pod, like playing a tiebreaker against a pro. So I can't wait to see if he's able to return Alcaraz's serve, because like
he did it with
Marty
Shelton too.
At all? Can he play tennis at all, Marty?
No, he's never played. I think he might have played baseball in college, maybe. So like hand-eye coordination is there.
I don't think it's coming back then. That's my prediction, is I don't think it's coming back. You got to know how to hit a ball, or you just get crazy lucky. I don't know.
Alcaraz seems like the type of dude that would be like, he probably is not going to serve at full speed at him. Whereas
but he would kick it. I think Alcaraz would kick serve, so the ball's bouncing like above Marty's head.
But he also went with Ben Shelton, and he was like, bro, 140 coming at you is different. And that's all I'll say about the Ben Shelton one. I was like, oh God.
It is most definitely different. I'll tell you that for free.
Yeah. So y'all stay tuned to Marty.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Shout out Marty. That's sick. That's sick. Okay. What do we say we do a little, speaking of serving big, what do we do? Why don't we do a little smash or pass?
Let's do it, bro. You want me to kick it off, or you want to start it?
No, I got to kick it off for you. Smash or pass wedding week. Do you like it or not? Is it too stressful? Are you smashing or are you passing?
Man, I wish if I was a liar, I would smash it, but I'm not a liar. I have to pass on wedding week. Now,
we love an honest king.
Yes, wedding week does not include rehearsal dinner and actual wedding day, just for everybody out there.
It's true.
I'm very stoked for that. Wedding week is miserable though. I hate this waiting period, especially in my situation with the moving. We're not going to be going back to a home together. We're going to be in Airbnb, then have to move again. All the moving parts. JP, what are we doing on Saturday? What's the deal on Friday? When do you get into town? Can we do this? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, I don't like planning anyway. So I'm passing on wedding week. How about you? What was your wedding week?
Yeah, I think I would pass on it too. It was stressful. You got people coming into town. Mine was during COVID too, so that was a whole nother thing.
True.
The government was trying to tie us down. They said you can only have 50 people at your outdoor gathering. That's what we have to put up with here in Canada.
We got a
Lack of freedom.
revolt.
So anyway, so that yeah, no, everyone I know, every dude I know would pass on the wedding week. So
Yes.
yeah, we're both passing on that one. Fair enough.
And then the next one, it's probably how I will be on Saturday night. We smashing or passing Djokovic skipping Cincinnati to party in Serbia. These are Steven's words. I would say Djokovic to celebrate his gold medal in Serbia.
I'm smashing that. I support that. That's a great move. He just completed the game of tennis. Go party in Serbia and show off your gold medal. He's done that many times. He takes his trophies, Wimbledon or whatever it is, back to that porch and probably the center square there in Belgrade, and has a party. And I respect that. So who needs another Cincinnati title when you're the king? So
right,
I smash that. How about you?
Smash 100%. I love seeing him with Jokic from the Nuggets.
Crazy.
2 NBA MVP, and then we got to go ahead and give the ATP MVP to Djokovic. 2 MVPs hanging out, celebrating in their country, and the parade looked incredible, or parade, whatever you want to call it, where everybody was just out there partying. That looked awesome. The Serbians know how to do it. They knew how to do it right during COVID too, when Djokovic got in trouble, but we should have known they're about to pop out for the Olympics.
Yeah. Okay. Djokovic to play US Open, smash or pass. Is he going to get over the hangover in time to play the US Open?
Will he be over the hangover? Yes. Will he play the US Open? Smash. And I'm only smashing because I want to see him there. And I do think probably after this week, when he comes back to his senses, he's going to be like, nah, I think I might need to get back out there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Huge smash. I think Djokovic is showing up. It doesn't matter if he hasn't practiced at all. He's just like, why not? What else? What other better things have I got to do? I'll take my whole family. We'll roll in. I'll play. I think he's playing. It would be weird to see him not play, I think, just from the competitive stand. Like, if he's not playing, is he just retiring? Or like, what are we doing here? So I don't know, but I'm predicting that Djokovic will be in US Open to play.
Djokovic, if him and Nadal wouldn't be on the same Laver Cup team, he would definitely skip all the rest of his tournaments, just play Laver Cup, beat Nadal, and what could be Nadal's last match. That would be the ultimate troll.
He would do that. That's something he probably would do. He's like, you can't let Nadal go peacefully. The crippled old man.
Yeah, I would stand him for it too. Next one, smash or pass. The Flavio forehand.
Yeah, smash. I mean, I'm big on Flavio Cabelli right now. People are saying, people are telling me to pump the brakes with him, calling him a superstar. I don't know. I was in person there. He's like this. He's got this Italian charm. Maybe I got a crush on him. I don't know, but he's got he can't really speak English, so he's like, he literally, his quote was like, he's like, I like very much the vibes out here in Montreal. Like, just electric quote from the Italian. He's wearing On Running. He's sponsored by Federer. He beat Felix Auger-Aliassime in front of his home crowd like a savage. And one other point here, one gamesmanship point on the second point of the match, Felix, the ball was out, so the rally was over, and Felix kind of just essentially hit a ball over the ball kid in that corner that Flavio was in, and it hit Flavio going 3 miles an hour.
Yeah,
and he literally almost fell over. He did a dive.
It was like a soccer dive.
Yeah, essentially. He was like. Which I thought was so good.
For a yellow card to come out.
He's like, look, he's like default. I know we like kicking out, Canadians default. He's like, don't worry, I'll just beat him in straight sets, which he did. So Flavio Cabelli smash. What do you think about him? Did you see that shot that I'm talking about?
Bro, that shot was insane. Because I was just scrolling through, and I'm always looking for some juice to spread in the tennis world. And I scrolled on, saw Flavio's forehand, watched it probably 6 times, thought, how the heck did he pull off this angle this hard? And it was awesome. It's got to be one of the best forehands of the year.
For sure. You see the way he hits the ball. He's kind of just looking at the ball and slaps it. And then doesn't even look to see where it goes, essentially. Just hits it, kind of connects with the ball as hard as he can, and then it was just perfectly timed, like little Italian chef's kiss. So I hope this puts us fully back on good terms with the Italianos, because I do love you guys.
Yeah, they are the best.
All right, smash or pass. What do we got next? Taylor Townsend driving from Canada to Cincy to make it in time for her qualifying match. Didn't know that. That's great. Smash or pass, JP?
Smash for Taylor, pass for everyone involved. It sucks that she had to drive and make a trip from Canada to Cincinnati to make a qualifying match. But that is the ultimate grind. And that is a story that people would get behind. She did a little post on her social media about it all. I felt for her. I can't imagine like literally having to play a match the next day to get into the main draw of a Masters 1000 tournament.
Wait, pause. So she couldn't, what was the reason? She couldn't find flights?
Yeah, I think so. I want to say her match, she made it to the quarterfinals and her match ended like pretty late. Yeah. And it was like, no flights. Her qualifying match had already been scheduled, and I guess they weren't very lenient with the scheduling.
For the next day, it was scheduled.
Correct, yeah. So she had to she played at night, and Cincy drove, I think, through the night and then played like late afternoon, evening in Cincinnati.
That's crazy. I do. Let's just look at this. I do.
Yeah,
she won. I think she won. She won.
Come on, Taylor.
6-0, let's go. Or she won. Yeah, she won both of her qualifying matches, so she qualified. So, anyways, that is crazy. I will say it is only. I will say it's gonna sound crazy. You might hate me for this. I thought it was like a crazy drive. It's like 7.5 hours. It says, which in Canada terms, where I'm from, is like, it's a decent drive, but it's like it's on the map. It's not like crazy, but like it is. I mean, if anyone's to blame, it's just the scheduling, right? It's like the people in Cincinnati. It's the people in Cincinnati not cluing in.
But we can also say she drove literally to another country to make it.
That's true. She drove to another country, but I guess it's kind of one of those things. What is anyone going to do? It's like her ranking is such where she has to put qualifying in Cincinnati, and then she's like making the quarterfinals of Canada, which is good for her. So I think the silver lining for her is like she probably made over 100K in Canada. Yeah. So that maybe you rent a nice car, maybe you rent
Tesla self-driving.
Yeah, self-driving. Maybe you treat yourself a little bit. So that's I drive 7 hours for 100K. I'm just saying.
That is a great point. That's a great hourly rate right there.
That's great. Okay. So we're both passing on that. I take it because of the scheduling.
Yeah, passing the scheduling, but smashing for Taylor because shout out Taylor.
Hell yeah. Okay, last one. Yannick Sinner, crazy tennis ball juggling skills. I didn't see this. What happened?
Dude, you know these guys, they got a lot of downtime in between matches and everything. And I just saw a clip that was posted on Tennis TV's Twitter, I believe. And Yannick just flicks that ball up, starts juggling it around, and hits this he finished it off with this nice, smooth back heel in the direction to his coach. The camera didn't follow it. I'm just going to assume it landed right in the coach's hand. Coach didn't even have to move.
Yeah.
And it always amazes me. The tennis players, so many of them are very good at soccer. And like what Nadal can do with a tennis ball at his feet is nuts. If you're listening right now, please go try to juggle a tennis ball 3 times consecutively. I promise you can't do it if you didn't have a background in soccer.
Yeah. And you know why they're all good at soccer?
Why?
Because they all have amazing footwork, and you have amazing footwork to be a good tennis player. So like you kind of have to be good at soccer to be a good tennis player.
Tell that to Medvedev, bro.
He's a good soccer player.
He's a beast. Heard he's coming.
Tell that to the Americans. I don't think any of the Americans are good soccer players, and that's why they're not winning majors. I'm just gonna say it.
Sebastian, bro. Sebastian is the best soccer player of the American tennis players, and I mean, I guess it's not surprising that he won in DC.
Yeah, that's true. It's almost like winning a major.
Well, you just wait until Sebi wins US Open, and then we'll be having this conversation again.
I'm gonna get Brad Stein to come on here because and I want him and you to talk, and I'm gonna drill you guys. It's gonna be like It's going to be like Congress when they like interview these people in front of them. It's going to be me going, how is it possible with a country of 350 million people to not win a major on the men's side in singles for over 20 years?
I'll tell you
That's literally
exactly how, bro.
80 majors events, 350 million people, the most tournaments, the biggest federation, the biggest money behind raising up tennis players by anyone by a long shot. Zero. And no, like has there even been a singles player in the final of a major in that whole time?
Look, man, you getting caught up in all these random things. This is what happened. I'll tell you real quick why we haven't had a major winner since Andy Roddick.
I'm ready to hear it.
When the U.S. was on top of tennis with Pete Sampras, Agassi, McEnroe,
yeah,
we were living in different times where the U.S. we wanted to be trendsetters, and that's what we did. We put our mind to it. We became trendsetters. That's why we became the global power. Is what happened, and that reflected in all of our sports, including tennis. And tennis was cool. We made tennis cool. So now,
I can agree with that.
What's the saying? Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create strong times. I think we might have gotten too comfortable, and tennis got less cool. I think that's also fair to say. So now
that Federacion money got real nice for those young juniors, and they started getting that Messiah complex where they're like, I don't have to work. I can just show up.
Tennis got less cool, so our best athletes stopped gravitating towards it, but you're seeing it come back, man. The Korda family is one of the most athletic families in the U.S.
That's true. I think it might be making a comeback, but yeah, I think that was a pretty relevant saying there. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Well, that's good. That's a whole nother podcast topic. I'd like to do it. Because Canada's, to be fair, Canada's effort right now in tennis is literally in the dumps. We have so much potential, and we are crapping the bed. So at least I'm one of those guys, it's like, they say, if you want to be the tallest building, just, build the tallest building. I like to tear everyone else down. So I don't feel when I'm down, I want everyone else to be down.
I respect that, honestly.
It's
that's how I am with my football fandom.
It's like Rublev. It's like burn everything, right? That's what he said.
Shout out Rublev making progress, man. He put out his post.
Yeah, shout out Rublev making progress in the mental game. We love that. Man, I could talk about a million more things, but we got to go get to our ladies. You got to get back to wedding week. You got to get some sleep. Got to rest up. You got a big week ahead of you.
Fly tomorrow.
You know what they say? The Lord gives his toughest battles to his
strongest soldiers, man. You know what else the Lord says?
What?
He says, that's the slice. We got to get out of here. Everybody, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, like the video, go back and like the other video, share it with a friend, tell your friends about it. We need all the help we can get to 20K.
We appreciate you. We'll see you guys next time here on the podcast. This is JP Hovey and Stephen Boughton signing out.